management and conservation of birds and their habitats to sustain the military mission. Outside of the airfield environment, we're all about conservation, and we promote conservation of Can you hear me?
Yeah, good. Go ahead. Please continue.
All right. Yeah. So outside the airfield environment, we are all about conservation, and particularly our mission-sensitive species, which I'll talk about. But inside of the airfield environment, around airfields, we are solely focused on flight safety and improving the flight safety mission. And we have a BASH working group that is focused on that particular issue. We do not promote conservation within the airfield, although many of the recommendations and actions that are undertaken on airfields to reduce attractiveness to larger bodied birds that are high hazard for aircraft, there are some incidental benefits to some migratory birds. So this is the DoD Partners in Flight Steering Committee. We're comprised of about 30 natural resources managers from all of the military services and from all over the country. And each one of our steering committee members has various types of subject matter expertise. We meet virtually every quarter to conduct DoD PIF business and further some of our objectives through our working groups. And then we have an on-site meeting every year at a different military installation around the country where we conduct business, but we also meet with the local natural resources management staff. And in some cases, we meet with Air Ops to discuss BASH issues. We typically also conduct a bird bio blitz at every installation that we go to and provide that data to the installation as a snapshot for birds that are present on the installation at the time we happen to have our meeting. And that information can be used for whatever purpose they would like to, either in their interim or for other planning purposes. All right, so the latest on Migratory Bird Treaty Act, and I've been updating everyone at NMFWA every year and also through our listserv as new information comes out, and I'll continue to do that. If you're not on our listserv, I'll show you here in just a bit how to get on that. But as most of you should be aware, the new rule from the prior administration codifying the M opinion, which was the solicitor's opinion from the Department of the Interior, that stated that the Migratory Bird Treaty Act does not cover incidental take. That rule went into effect Monday of this week. But also on Monday, the Fish and Wildlife Service issued a statement, you see that on the screen here, that essentially is revoking the prior M opinion. And they are also working on a new proposed rule that would withdraw the current rule from the prior administration, and that should be forthcoming soon. So if you saw Ryan Orndorff's presentation yesterday, he gave a great overview of kind of the current status with the Fish and Wildlife Service and this new proposed rule. And the message there is to just be patient. You know, we're under this new rule from the prior administration. They're working to rescind that or rescind the M opinion and put a new rule into effect. That's going to take some time, but I think we will see some changes coming along pretty soon that will hopefully revert us back to some sense of what we had back in the Obama administration era. In addition, the Fish and Wildlife Service is looking into a means to provide some level of general authorization permits to cover incidental take. And we don't know what that's going to look like yet. We're talking with the service and in some cases helping them with some ideas on that process. But we'll have more information on that forthcoming. In terms of what is DoD's position, over the last 4 years, it has always been to stay the course and continue to avoid and minimize incidental take of migratory birds so long as we don't diminish the military mission. And we've had significant justification to do so. Here you see the 2018 memo from Deputy Assistant Secretary Ms. Sullivan, essentially stating that DoD should continue to stay the course And we also have our MOU with the Fish and Wildlife Service under the executive order that provides good guidance for DoD to follow for our non-readiness activities. The MOU, this is from 2014, it actually expired in 2019, and we've been working to edit that appropriately and get it re-signed. The service is working on currently working on a new template for that. So we're going to be working with them in the coming months to revise our current MOU as appropriate and get this re-signed so that we have a valid MOU. In the last session, there was a lot of talk about how to prioritize species for management on installations and some really good answers about prioritizing based on mission impacts. And that's a good segue into a discussion about mission-sensitive species. This is something that Partners in Flight has been working on for a number of years. Some of you who have been around for a while saw the prior mission-sensitive species list that we had on our old website that included somewhere north of 60 or 65 birds. That was a rather large and cumbersome list. So we've been working over the last few years to narrow that down to a much smaller list of what we call our mission-sensitive species. We used a fairly rigorous technical analysis to identify 16 bird species occurring on multiple DoD installations, and specifically that might be at risk of becoming federally endangered under the Endangered Species Act if threats to all of those species aren't addressed and if population declines continue. The purpose of the list is to help DoD natural resources managers to prioritize their monitoring and management efforts to help reverse trends, but to also prepare installations for potential federal listings. The mission-sensitive species list is not the only thing that you should be looking at when it comes to monitoring and management. There was a lot of good discussion, as I said, on the last Bird Conservation Working Group meeting about looking at your state wildlife action plans and perhaps other regional or local situations where species are imperiled or in decline. So how did we arrive at our list of 16? So we reviewed available monitoring data in the vast majority of DoD NRMS for occurrence information. It was a pretty laborious process and a lot of people were involved. We also incorporated multiple metrics from various avian databases, such as the Avian Conservation and Assessment Database from National Partners in Flight and Bird Conservation of the Rockies. We utilized the expertise of the DOD PIF Steering Committee and a variety of installation natural resources professionals to really broadly evaluate impacts of any potential future listings of mission-sensitive species. So this is our mission-sensitive species list. It has been reviewed and endorsed by OSD Natural Resources Program, as well as presented and vetted through the DOD Conservation Committee. So we've had a lot of eyes on this, and we feel pretty comfortable with it now. While this list, the current mission-sensitive species list don't necessarily impact, or these species don't necessarily impact testing and training, but a shift.
Yeah, we lost your audio. Let's see if we can get him back on. He may have dropped off and he'll be back on shortly. I'm going to look at some questions while we're waiting for Rich to come back on. Michelle, will the mission-sensitive species give us more funding flexibility? That is up to the individual services, whether or not they want to fund that, but those would be priority species that all the services had agreed on. So it's not meant to direct funding, but to direct where your research and monitoring goes. So if you want to use that as a rationale, then please do, but we are not directing funding. Yeah. So we're not calling it a legal driver because we don't direct policy, but these are the species that DOD has agreed to focus on. Yeah, and then Jay jumped in for your service. So thank you, Jay. All right. Any other questions? I may have to pause for a second to go retrieve Rich. Exactly. Michelle, yes, so we will be sending out the mission-sensitive species information via our listserv. Ryan rolled out that list during the policy update. That was the official unveiling. So we will follow up after this meeting and send that out. I think maybe we're getting Rich back. Any other questions right now? It's a good conversation. Thanks everybody for chiming in. All right,
can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
God, everything, I got shut down and everything just went completely dark on me.
Okay, so you're not in presentation mode?
How about this?
Perfect, right where you left off. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Sorry about that, everybody. So this is our mission-sensitive species list. So like I said, it's been endorsed by OSD Natural Resources. It's been through the Conservation Committee. And we chose these species because, they currently don't impact testing and training missions, but a shift to ESA status for any of them would immediately lead to potential significant training restrictions, as well as initiation of ESA Section 7 consultations. And so, for example, the eastern black rail was one of our mission-sensitive species, and it was federally listed, changed status to threatened back in, I think, October of 2020. And in doing so, the military services were kind of in a reactionary posture upon that listing to determine which installations had black rail and what the impacts might be to training. So we're trying to get ahead of that curve with all of our mission-sensitive species. And subsequently, we've removed black rail from our mission-sensitive species list since it's now protected under ESA. I'll also add that while there's many other migratory birds in decline, we chose to focus on these particular species because of their highly perceived potential to impact the testing and training missions should they become ESA listed. We intend to roll out a single fact sheet for mission-sensitive species to describe the process of how we arrived at this list. This is more or less an older version, I would say, of our fact sheet for mission-sensitive species, but we've provided a lot of detail and information on these fact sheets, and Liz has actually turned them into a nice landscape orientation such that they can be pulled out and put into PowerPoint presentations or publications. So you'll see there's a lot of information relative to DOD. We talk a bit about conservation status, management actions, and importantly, some military interactions with training. We are currently now that we have our mission sensitive species list, we're very interested in prioritizing that list even further and based not only on many of the metrics that were used to derive the list, but also to link in the training community. And we really want to have a better understanding of the nexus between our mission sensitive species and different types of training on installations. And so as we undergo that process in the near future through our mission sensitive species working group, we're definitely looking for subject matter expertise from installations. So if you are a natural resources manager, a researcher, what have you, working directly on installations on DoD properties, and you have any or all of these qualifications with the species, we definitely would like to get in touch with you and put you on our subject matter expertise list for further addressing some of these mission sensitive species. So here's my email. If you have any of that expertise, please feel free to email me. We would prefer that you go to the website. I know that's a cumbersome URL. Don't try to copy that down, but I think the slides will be available subsequent to this. And in doing so, you can go to the website and look at some of the other features that we have. We also have a fact sheet series, and we're rolling these out. We have many of these done and ready to roll out through various distribution sources. So be on the lookout for the DoD Partners in Flight fact sheet series. We're also working on developing some recommendations and guidelines for how to address migratory birds for different types of readiness and non-readiness activities on installations. These are scenarios that we've developed through a lot of our training classes and interactions with natural resources managers. And so if you have any specific scenarios you'd like to share where there's been a nexus between the mission and migratory birds, either listed or unlisted or non-listed, please feel free to share those with me as we put this information together. And we're going to create a nice white paper out of this to disseminate. We haven't put this out on the streets yet because of all the changes that are occurring and have been occurring over the last couple of years with the MBTA. And so it's been a real dynamic process in trying to develop recommendations. So hopefully we'll get some stability here pretty soon. The Avian Knowledge Network is something that you've probably heard multiple times this week. Some of you are in Liz Neipert's training session this week with Point Blue Science and Klamath Bird Observatory. I just wanted to put a plug in for AKN. It has significant support from OSD Natural Resources and the military services, and is being rolled out now and will be rolled out more in the future. There'll be additional details and guidance forthcoming pretty soon. But we're looking to the AKN as the single repository for DoD avian data. And the number of tools that are going to be available for analyses, whether it's for NEPA or other types of analyses on the installation. The suite of tools that are on AKN are really cool and really powerful. And so I really encourage you to participate in the AKN and work with us in the coming months and years to get your data ported over into the AKN. Our first focus is going to be getting our installation data for our mission sensitive species into the AKN, but we're certainly not limited to that moving forward. There's a number of resources I wanted to point out. Of course, we have our website. Those of you that have been around a while, partners in our DODPIF.org, our old website was hijacked a number of years ago. It's no longer viable. We ported over to Denix, which is where we should be. And Liz has been doing a really wonderful job of updating our website and putting lots of new information on there. So it is dynamic, and I encourage you to go to the website and look for the various types of resources that are there. Happy to say that, and very proud to show you the Natural Selections newsletter. I hope you all received an email and have had a chance to digest the number of articles that were provided in this particular newsletter edition. But this is our 30th anniversary, and we're celebrating that with stories that go all the way back to the genesis of DoD Partners in Flight back in the 90s, with a lot of good information, and special thanks to people like Joe Houtzen-Roeder and Chris Eberly, who were instrumental in setting the foundation and the baseline for what DoD Partners in Flight is today. I co-wrote an article with Bob Ford, who's a National Partners in Flight coordinator. Bob, I don't know if you're on the phone, but we really appreciate your interest and continuing to work with us and all of the other federal partners that you work with to produce that article. I also want to thank Brittany McCabe, Derek Gala, and the entire natural selection staff for getting this done in a very timely manner just before NMFWA. And also to thank all the contributors from DoD Partners in Flight and throughout the bird conservation community for getting this done. So please check that out. We also have a photo library. It's a Shutterfly site. We have several thousand images that have been archived on the Shutterfly site from contributors all throughout DoD. This is a way to archive your bird photos, and we're specifically interested in photos that were taken on DoD installations. You can join the site for free, and all of those images are available for download. And you're able to put those images into your PowerPoints, into your publications, as long as you provide photo credit. So it's a really nice resource if you need imagery for migratory birds. If you want to get access to the Shutterfly site, you just send an email to Paul Block or Tim Burr, and their emails are there. We also have 500 accounts to the Cornell Birds of the World system, and this is one of the most powerful and ready available sources of information for the life history of all of the migratory birds in North America. And in fact, what used to be Birds of North America has been transitioned over to Birds of the World, and we now have access to over 10,000 species accounts for migratory birds. As I said, we have 500 accounts that OST pays for on an annual basis. So if you're interested, if you don't already have an account, again, please go to our website at the link you see here, or send me an email. I would prefer you went to the website. You probably will get a quicker response, but if you do send me a direct email, I'll make sure that you get a code so that you can sign up for your own account. Many of you were participants in the first annual DoD Partners in Flight Backyard Bird Blitz back in the, really the height of COVID-19 last year. And it was very successful. We had, I can't remember, I think close to 100 participants, confined mostly to their backyards. And we asked people to go out to their properties and spend a little time looking at birds during the spring migration, and then send in your results. Those were all sent to me. I compiled them, and we had a lot of fun with it, and a lot of people really enjoyed it. So we decided to do that again for a second year, and you'll see the dates here. We'll be rolling out more information in the near future on participation. So again, sorry for the technical difficulties. Didn't leave as much time for questions as I had hoped, but Liz, I'll go back over to you and let me know if there are any questions for me or anyone else.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of answering a couple within chat. Rebecca, I put one in there. I'll grab the other one in a minute. But we did have a couple of questions further up. One question from Sarah Ryder was, does BASH collect data on bird/at-sea vessel strikes?
Does BASH collect data on bird what? I didn't hear that.
Bird/at-sea vessel strikes.
Oh, bird-at-sea/vessel strikes. That is a really good question. I don't know the answer to that. I assume you're talking about aircraft carriers. So I would imagine, and maybe there's some Navy personnel, BASH personnel who might be able to answer that question. but I would assume if there are bird strikes out at sea, that those are documented as they would be on that CONUS.
Yeah, Sarah, if you're on, you can unmute yourself and clarify, or if that answered it, just hit me up in the chat saying that was good.
Hi, yeah, thanks guys. This is Sarah. I work on some of the at-sea environmental compliance documents for various study areas. And one question we often get is about ESA listed bird species in particular, and what's the strike potential for a vessel at sea. I know the BASH program is, specific to aircraft, or at least that's kind of how I've always thought about it. So I was just kind of curious about if any data was collected on bird strikes with vessels at sea.
Yeah, I don't know if Laura Bush is online, but Laura has raised that question with me before. Yeah, so Laura, if you're on, if you want to unmute.
Yeah, hi everyone. We don't collect any at fleet forces. I think that if there were any strike collections, it would be through the BASH program. So that's something we'll have to reach out to our Navy BASH person and ask directly.
This is Bob Shulman. I can add that I did back in 2006-ish. We did a assessment with myself and 3 other folks did an assessment of potential for bird strikes at sea, but that was with aircraft. So I don't know if that's going to get the information that you need, but certainly feel free to reach out to me. I can give you more details if you need them. Over.
Thanks.
Hey, I'm
Michael,
going to say one.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say one more thing. I saw Peter Boyce chime in there. I didn't realize Peter was participating this week, but Peter, it's great to see you. When we talk about the history of Partners in Flight, Peter was definitely instrumental in there at the ground level and getting our program started and, and funded through the years, along with Allison Dowsimer. Peter's retired and Allison is as well. So we appreciate all your efforts, Peter, and it's good to see your face.
Well, thank you, Rich. I hardly feel retired, and I don't list myself as such because of everything else, but I appreciate the kind words, and it's just been great to see how the program has grown over the almost 30 years that I've been involved with it.
Yeah. Again, thanks, Peter.
Okay, so that's actually the end of our time, but we do have the 10-minute grace period. So we'll keep going through some questions, but we will just get cut off in about 9 minutes. So I think we addressed the at sea. I've been addressing a lot of the questions directly in the comments. So please go back to your original comment if it was an easy to answer question. Let me see what else. Yeah, there's a lot of people chiming in about Sarah's at-sea vessel strike. So go ahead and read through those. Another question was from Brian Moyer, how AKN might be used at the headquarters level. Brian, I've been briefing on that for about a year. I have a nice PowerPoint I can send you, but for everybody else, once we get the data into AKN, that's when kind of the power of the tool is available. So we will be able to ask questions, not just at the installation level, but at the service level. So for you, if you wanted to know which installations had, black rail, we'd be able to pull that up, but we need to get the data in order to do that. And then we could also ask those questions at the DOD level. So it will be pretty amazing once we get, a robust amount of data in that system. Let me know if you have any follow-ups, if you need to unmute and go ahead and ask, or if that answered that question, but I'd be happy to discuss more in depth whenever we can.
No, that's got it. Thanks for that. Could you send that presentation to me then?
Yes, I can, as soon as we're off. Yeah.
Thanks.
Let's see. I think those were all the questions that I didn't answer immediately in chat that I am tracking. If anybody else wants to chime in, we've got a couple minutes. You can go ahead and unmute or throw it in the chat and I'll bring it up. think we did pretty good.
Hey Liz, the WMI schedule actually has you lifted out to the half hour.
Oh, really? Interesting. Okay, so we might not get cut off. All right.
Oh, good.
Any other questions? Oh, I think we're doing pretty good.
Okay. Nothing else in the chat?
I'm trying to, no, not really. I've caught them all as they came up. So go back to your original question. I mean, there's pages of it. So yeah, I think we're in good shape. Okay.
Well, for whoever's left online, I'd certainly encourage you to go to our website. I encourage you to take advantage of all of the resources that we have. Please contact me if I can help to set you up with any of those resources. Be patient. I get inundated with a lot of that, and it's not always first priority, but I'll get back to you usually within a day. So we love sharing that information. And particularly the Birds of the World accounts tend to be the most popular, and folks really find that information useful when they're writing updates or revisions to their NREMPs or other environmental review documents. That information tends to be extremely valuable.
I will bring up, we have had a couple questions in other sessions. How can people get the list of mission-sensitive species? What is the best way for them to get that?
Yeah, I saw that question earlier. The best way to get that is for us to roll out our mission-sensitive species fact sheet. So that's going to be done through OSD. And we had hoped to do that prior to this meeting, but I think we'll be able to do that just shortly after. But anyone who would like to have an advanced copy of that fact sheet can just email me or email Liz. And I think we'd be okay to send that out to them. In short of that, we definitely can send the list of mission-sensitive species.
Yeah, that's what I told him. We'd send out the list on the listserv.
Yeah. Also, is this presentation going to be available online?
Yes, we're recording this, so it will be living on this page once we're done.
Okay, so it'll be a recording. So you can go through the presentation and get to that specific slide and see them there too. It's not the easiest way to get that. Yeah. We'd prefer to send an email.
And Bob Shelvin just said, remember that your regional DOD PIF reps are here to help. Of course, I'm not sure due to technical difficulties if you should throw the map up, but we definitely have our SME contact list and steering committee contact list on the website, and I will put the link in the chat following Bob's statement. So thank you, Bob.
I'm looking for that file now, see if it'll work. How about that? See that?
It might be your other screen. Oh, no, there you go.
So this is, I haven't updated this, so some of those vacancies have been assumed, but this provides a relatively updated snapshot. Now, if you don't know who your rep is within your state, then let me know and we can put you in touch with that person.
Yep.
So Bob Shulman, I thought the Bird Conservation Working Group session was well done and was a great segue into this session. Really want to thank you and Jackie for great leadership in that working group, and looking forward to interacting with Kevin Warner as he takes over. So nice job.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, no, Kevin's going to be a great addition to that working group, and keep that ball rolling forward. Yeah, very much appreciate it.
Agree.
Okay, that link is now in the chat to our contact list on the website, which includes emails. Dave says, big kudos again to DOD PIF Rep Kyle Rambo for his award yesterday. Kyle got the Lifetime Achievement Award. I'm not sure if Kyle's on, but I'm not sure if Lifetime Achievement means you're kind of done, but I'm sure Kyle has some words on that if he's still on. Maybe he left because he celebrated too much last night.
Could be. Jim Swift is on. He could pass that along to Kyle. Anything else in the chat box, Liz?
Nope. Alan just says he's kind of old. Nope.
All right. Well,
Jim says he will pass it along.
I will follow up on the comment about interacting with the regional and state reps. We really appreciate interaction and communication with installations, because that's where the rubber meets the road. That's where the expertise lies with making things happen to protect the mission. And so I encourage communication from the installations for any question, any problem, any comment, to send up to me or Liz or any of our reps. Bring that to our attention. We'd love to interact with you and help you in any way we can. So please don't be shy. That's what we're here for.
Agreed. We did have a couple people say that they are willing to help out as SMEs for specific mission sensitive species. I just told them to hit us up so we can add them. We do still have 135 people on here, so they haven't booted us off yet. So if anyone else has any other questions or topics, we're here until they kick us off.
So I'll just, I'll say.
Oh, go ahead, Alan.
What was that?
On the Passable website, it says the meeting's ended, but apparently on Zoom, we're still live.
Oh, well, there we go. We're going to ride it out till they kick us off.
It sounds like we still have an audience, and I'll follow up with just a little bit more information on mission-sensitive species. So I think it was great that we've gotten to the point we're at now. Ryan Orndorff at OSD has asked both PIF and Park to prioritize so that he has some sense of what the most important species are to focus on. And particularly with limited dollars and resources, we need to make sure that we're putting our resources in the right place. And so we're working on the name right now, but currently it's a species prioritization tool. Robbie Knight at Dugway Proving Ground is a significant player in that, as well as our Mission Sensitive Species Working Group. And the idea is to develop a process by which we take a wide variety of inputs, everything that I showed you on the screen with all of the partners in flight and other conservation assessment tools, but also to include input from the range community and really trying to nail down what the nexus is between the distribution of our mission sensitive species and the various types of missions on the installations. And that's going to be a significant and a really important part of the tool. And
we're getting the boot. They're all falling off.
Oh, we are. Okay. Anyway, so those subject matter experts are critical. So contact us.
We dropped about 100 during your last sentence.
Oh, well.
Good job, Rich. Good job, Liz.
I was trying to squeeze it.